Walt Disney World is set to debut 2 brand new attractions very soon. The Muppets Rock and Roller Coaster, as well as Soarin' Across America. And now we know when you can ride it first, as long as you're a DVC member or an annual pass holder. Let's talk about it today on That Park Place. Vash, they are announcing previews for these new attractions, and we have got the inside scoop. Well, not the inside scoop. We have the readily available information that everybody has. We now know when and where these things are going to happen. We have a DVC preview for Rock and Roller Coaster starring the Muppets and Soarin' Across America before both attractions officially open. So this is going to be eligible members of qualifying Walt Disney World hotel reservations on specific event dates are automatically registered for the special experiences. Rock and Roller Coaster Priority Access takes place May 24th, while Soarin' Across America Priority Access occurs on May 21st. DVC members do not need to sign up for Priority Access. Eligible members with a qualifying Walt Disney World Resort hotel reservation on the event dates are automatically registered. Disney will send additional event details via email to registered members. Those who qualify should watch their inbox for information about accessing the experiences. Now, DVC preview dates. Soarin' Across America will be May 21st. Takes place at Epcot. Follows annual pass holder previews on May 19th through the 20th. Rock and Roller Coaster, starring the Muppets, takes place on May 24th at Hollywood Studios. Follows annual pass holder previews May 21st through the 23rd. So looks like these are going to be one right after the other. So preview time for both attractions on May. So both attractions feature staggered previews across access for different guest groups before the May 26th public opening. Soarin' Across America, May 19th through 20th. You have the annual pass holder previews. Now this is not announcing the date, and then they're sending you an email to get into a virtual queue to book your reservation essentially for this. That's not what they're doing now. It's not what they've done the last couple. Now it's basically you get to the park and you have to join a virtual queue. You might get in, you might not get in. I personally don't. I think that is a much worse. I think it's a worse system, and I think it's a little bit more insidious because if you didn't get into the, virtual queue that was, weeks beforehand to get your reservation, well, you weren't going to the park that day. Now they're going to flood the park full of people who might not be able to ride, but they're there because they want to try to ride. Does that make sense?
Right. Oh, yeah, of course. And we know the operational capacities of these attractions. Not everybody who wants to ride any one ride for every single person that walks through these parks every single day can actually ride that ride if they choose to do that. Yes. There's going to have to be a cutoff, or you have extended hours or so forth. But usually there is a cutoff of some point. So it's look. Oh, go ahead, please.
I did this pass holder preview situation for Zootopia, and I had no problem. I was able to get right in. But that Better Zootopia is a little bit different than Soarin' and Rock and Roller Coaster.
Right. And
these are e-ticket rides.
Yes, and as they are e-ticket rides, right? You have downtime, right? Things can actually shut down. We saw with Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, by the way, the first day that it was open, well, it was down for 5 hours due to that fire, right? That actually occurred at the station right there. So I'm not saying that's going to happen necessarily here, but you do have to be aware that you're going to have some things that are going to cut into that capacity, just like Lightning Lane, for example, right? Rise of Resistance goes down, everybody holds on to the Lightning Lane, then they flood that queue right there when their times are up because now it's been pushed back and everybody comes at once, and now, the standby is at a crawl as they process the Lightning Lanes that people have paid for. Now, not saying that that's going to happen here necessarily, but that's just one of the examples of downtime affecting, queues, waits, maybe in this case a virtual queue, and so forth. And look, I'm not so thrilled with the virtual queue idea, but mandating that people have to actually be there cuts down on the server capacity that they need in order to handle these requests, right? Well, we just saw with D23, the Ultimate Fan Event, how many people could not get in, who had issues trying to get tickets and so forth. I think that's fresh in their minds, and they're just saying, look, this is kind of how we handle these operations with new attractions going forward.
Let me also play devil's advocate for this, because I had a preview for Tiana's Bayou Adventure and didn't get to ride because the ride was breaking down. So when you look at something like that, or I was in the virtual queue for it and went. I don't remember if it was a pass holder preview or not, but with something like that, you go, if you wait in the line, on your computer for 5 hours, however long it takes, you get the reservation to go on the day of, you show up and the ride breaks down. Well, now you're really pissed. But if you go on the day of, you don't know if you're getting on or not. You get in the virtual queue, but then it breaks down. Well, then again, you already walked in on that day having this mentality of I might not ride this ride.
That's a fair point. I mean, that's I guess would be in your favor. Nobody wants to be denied, especially if putting in an enormous amount of effort in order to hopefully get a chance to ride. But I can kind of see that. I mean, look, I think they want to limit the people who could even be able to ride this thing to the people who are actually there, in order so that they can facilitate that IT, which is notoriously bad, that much better. Now, it's tough to be denied virtual queue, and there's going to be an insane amount of fighting with cast members and all. I mean, I remember when Rise of Resistance opened, I believe in January of 2020 at Disneyland, and they implemented a virtual queue system in order to ride it. It was ridiculous. I mean, it was extremely hard. It was extremely difficult, and there were a bunch of complaints attached to it and everything like that. That being said, though, I think you're right. You're going to have to deal with complaints anyway in the back end. If people had some kind of maybe assurance in their heads before they even came that they were going to ride and then were denied, it's different than being denied on the day at a set time in which virtual queues go live.
Right. So Rock and Roller Coaster annual pass holder previews with virtual queue May 21st through 23rd, May 24th DVC member priority access, and then May 26th open to all guests. So both of these attractions are opening on May 26th. That's going to be a big day in Walt Disney World, May 26th.
I guess so.
If you look at this article here, it actually shows you the process for how to get into the pass holder preview. There is no separate registration or booking process. Pass holders can simply join the standby queue during normal park operating hours, subject to capacity. To take part, you'll need a Walt Disney World annual pass with valid admission on the preview date, a theme park reservation for Epcot if visiting before 2 p.m., and no active blockout dates on your pass for these dates. Park reservation requirements are subject to change, and reservations are limited and subject to availability. If you're planning to visit multiple parks, you'll need to enter the park where you have a reservation first. After 2 p.m., you can visit Epcot without a reservation, with the exception of Magic Kingdom on Saturdays and Sundays, which still requires one. Soarin' Across America replaces Soarin' Around the World, obviously, which closes on May the 13th, so just a few more days for the Crooked Eiffel Tower. No, I'm kidding, they fixed that. But the new film takes you on a simulated flight across the United States, covering natural landscapes and city skylines from coast to coast, and general guests get their first flight when the attraction opens on May the 26th. I'm actually very excited for Soarin' Across America. I'm a big fan of Disney doing something that's more Americana based.
Yes.
I'm all for that. I think it's going to be fun.
Look, I think it's going to be. I'm really excited for it. I mean, Soarin' over the world or whatever, around the world, is that right?
Yeah.
I just, I don't think it's anybody's favorite. I think a lot of people prefer Soarin' over California.
It's mostly CGI, but here you see that they're actually filming over the Grand Canyon.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And I believe they're filming over Mount Rushmore and a couple of other big time places right there, which is good, right? Because man, when you're on a screen that large and you're that close to it and all of that, it really does make a difference when these things are filmed, on the day or whatever. And look, I understand it's kind of difficult to facilitate, and there are some locations around the world that you just can't get access to, right? Like the Taj Mahal, for example. There's no way that India's going to let you fly copter that close. No. So what do you do in that case? But if you have these regions available
you don't include the Taj Mahal in your attraction.
That's true. I suppose you can do that, yes, Marvin. But if you want to include it, there you go. Okay, but if you have these areas available to you, I would encourage this, and I do think this is a step in the right direction. We'll see what other stuff they're doing for the semi-quincentennial, I believe, and kind of see what that is all about. And it could be, Marvin, that they're packaging these things on the same day in order to split those most enthused fans between the two parks, right? In order to so that one isn't overwhelmed next to the other.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.